three things can really be consistent across everything that you do in life is staying consistent, being disciplined, and staying positive. Those three things you can take that along any journey, any goal, and accomplish anything you want to with those three things.
Hi you guys, my name is Jasmine.
My name is Matthew Cohn from Cohn's Graphics.
And today we're recording another episode of the 1% Better Everyday podcast. So the last video, it was a mukbang. Today we're actually just going to be answering some questions. I do have my laptop over here, but we're just going to be answering some questions. It's going to be like a really laid back video, just talking about just discipline and manifestation. We were kind of getting a little bit off topic, but we are showing up. We are being disciplined to showing up because we did want to start recording more episodes. And I know you were talking about how you were tired and you didn't want to record, but
that's how I'd be actually every time.
You want to record?
Every time I want to record, I'd be like, bro, I don't feel like doing this shit. But then you just gotta get it done. Then you
feel so
happy.
much better.
Like when you 2 months down the road, you be like, damn, I'm glad I shot that. Like I'm glad I took that time to set up everything, and I'm glad I took that time to actually get it done, so that way I can still accomplish my goals. Cause everything that we're doing is for a future. Like we probably 3 episodes. Well, from me, as far as the reels that I've been making for the podcast, I'm 3 episodes, 2 to 3 episodes behind from the current episode. So we still got hella content just constantly coming. So that just goes back to your point about staying disciplined.
Yeah. And this was the whole point of the podcast and why we started it, was to kind of show you guys behind the scenes and what it's really like behind just creators in general. But it's having discipline in these moments to still show up, still record, even if we feel tired and even if we don't always want to be here. Because like he said, later down the line, you're just going to thank yourself for being productive and actually getting the work done. But that was actually one thing I wanted to talk about in today's video, is that how do you define discipline for yourself in this journey that you're on?
Prime example. I didn't feel like after you recorded, I didn't feel like recording. So my idea of being disciplined is, I have this planned out. It's written down on my planner. It's written down. We've had this planned out for a while. To just make sure you do what you say you're gonna do. And that's like one of my biggest pet peeves, is when somebody say they gonna do something and then don't do it. Especially when it's important and you know that it needs to get done. Like, that's the most annoying, is when people say they're going to do something and then don't do it.
Yeah, don't follow through with it.
Yeah.
And I think
that's because they're not disciplined.
Yeah, I think consistency really goes hand in hand with discipline, is being consistent and just showing up. Because I was even telling one of my clients that I think we also make super unrealistic standards or expectations for ourselves, where we don't want to accomplish things because we think that we should be doing this or we should be doing that, instead of actually just making realistic goals. So even recording for us, we record about once a month, and that's not a lot, but when we do record, we're disciplined about recording bulk content, so that way we have it
already in the top. Yeah.
Do you believe that how you do one thing is how you do everything?
No. And then that just goes back to
I think
it goes back to just people's different personalities and stuff like that. Like, what works for you might not work for her. So if this goal, you got 2 different goals, right? This plan for this goal might be the same plan for this goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why I say no.
I think it does play a huge part, because I can only speak for myself. But for example, when I was on my 9 to 5, there were certain things where I was I was really good at the beginning, but then you kind of start to get burned out, and you're just I don't really care about this, because I was so invested into my business more. But I think I just learned that how you do, for me specifically, how you do one thing is definitely how you do everything, because even when I say like 5 more minutes or I say here and there, then you end up being late to other things just because you weren't disciplined in the areas that you needed to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense, but you can also
I feel like if you're not disciplined in one area, it's going to have like a trickle down effect, and it's going to trickle down into other aspects in your life.
I mean, that's what it boils down to, is just those three things can really be consistent across everything that you do in life. Is staying consistent, being disciplined, and staying positive. Those three things, you can take that along any journey, any goal, and accomplish anything you want to with those three things.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this. You made me think of that book that you made me read. I'm reading this book that he actually gave to me, and it's called How to Limit Distractions. And I really like that you actually made me read that book, because I think I learned that, especially with discipline, there's a lot of things that are distractions, like social media, having conversations on the phone with your friend or your mom, or, not your mom all the time, because I know you do need to talk to your parents, but I think that a lot of the things sometimes are distractions in a way when you don't have boundaries.
Yeah.
Because then you can allow too many things, or you can people please, and sometimes you have to like learn how to. For me, one of the things that the book taught me was how to put my phone on airplane mode, because it has really helped just cut down so much time that I don't need to be on my phone, or that I get distracted by other things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and it's important to, again, going back to everybody's individual, it's important to recognize and understand your own distractions. One distraction for one person might not be a distraction for another person, especially like when you're doing things as simple as like driving, or doing homework, or trying to do a workout. Like it'd be the smallest stuff that can distract you.
The smallest things that can distract you.
It'd be the smallest thing. And then what were you telling me a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago? You were saying now how once you get distracted, it takes you like almost 10 to 20 minutes to get back into the consistent rhythm or flow of whatever you was doing before. Or some shit like that.
Yeah, like in the book I was reading, he was explaining how he talks a lot about psychology, and I love psychology, but he was talking in the book how every time that you stop and start a new task, it takes you an average of 26 minutes to get back into the flow of the task.
Minutes.
So imagine you getting distracted on your phone, and then you spend 30 minutes getting back into it, and then you get distracted on your phone again, that's another 30 minutes, and you get distracted again, and 30 minutes again. You lose so much time just by getting distracted, and I didn't realize how a lot of these distractions are just taking up your time. Like, I think your time is just so important now, and I think we've talked about that so much more.
It's always been important.
But time is so important. I don't know why, but I think as you get older, like, you really just put so much more importance on time.
As you should, hopefully. Some people don't give a fuck. Some people just, they don't care. And it's not meant for everybody to want to care about being on time and some of the superficial stuff, but for us, we got goals we're trying to accomplish, so it's like very few far in between where we meet other people that actually are valuing their time in the aspect of wanting to do business, or just cutting unnecessary bullshit throughout their life.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it before too, but we even talked about how, like, I think now as we become more disciplined, it also becomes even lonelier, because I think when you're more accountable with yourself about being disciplined, you're holding yourself up to like a different standard, that then you start to look at other people, and then you start to hold them up to the same standard, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, you know that not everybody can be like you, but then it's also like learning how to have grace with them where they are on their journey, because like you said, everybody is on a different journey.
Yeah, everybody is on a different journey for sure. What did Kobe say? He said, and I've been like this all my life. I expect greatness out of myself. The downside to that is I expect greatness out of everybody around me. And not everybody is up to the same level of pressure that I put on myself to accomplish things. And I realized that after I was disappointed by so many outside factors that obviously you can't control, of people just not putting in the work like how you expect it to. So that's why, again, I'm gonna go back to what Kobe said. It's like the people that we have around us are the people that we want around us. They just expect excellence out of themselves. So
I was gonna say, like, where do you think that you learned how to have greatness for yourself?
I think that influence came from.
Like, did anybody ever tell you, like, oh, you have
No.
to be great in this area? Like, you have to be great. Like, I'm holding you up to this standard. Like, I'm holding you to be better.
No, I've always held myself to a higher standard than what I grew up around and what I was introduced to. And when I mean higher standard, just higher standard for myself. Not everybody wants to live the lavish life or live the life that we're living, because we're obviously living our dreams. Not everybody wants that life, so I can't say better than everybody, but again, I didn't grow up around anybody just holding that excellence high. About time I got to middle school, I had a black principal, and his first thing he would say in the morning, or first thing out of the speakers when he did morning announcements, is give results, not excuses. And that was me in middle school. I don't know what fucking age you are in middle school, but for me, I carried that. I still carry that to this day. I still say that to this day. Give results, not excuses. So I would say my biggest contributor to that is honestly music, and sports. Especially, you have such great influences. Again, back to Kobe. If you ever watched any of his interviews or any of his any post game anything, he always expected. You can tell, and by his words, he's always expected greatness out of himself, a fellow Virgo. So that's something that I carried on. I don't know who I got that from. Shout out to whoever I got that from, the universe. But that's not something that I grew up with. What about you?
I was just thinking about it because, I think we've talked about it before, but, like, do you feel like you were in survival mode or no?
What's the definition of survival mode?
I think to me, survival mode is like when you're so focused on surviving that you're not really focused on, I don't know, like living other things. Because every time you talk, like you always talk about how, like, you got to experience different things. And I think for me, my childhood was a little bit different because I was just always so focused on surviving. Like, I was just always focused on surviving the environment, surviving the moment, surviving the school, surviving the day. So I think for me, I think I learned how to navigate it in a way that, like, I'm confident in who I am and I'm confident in what I do now. But I think that, like you said, for you was not that it was easy, but you got influenced to a point where you were like, you want greatness out of you. And I think for a lot of other people, their environment can really bring them down into like a way that in their head, they're like, oh, well, my whole environment has been telling me that I'm not worth it. So they feel worthless, if that makes sense. And I think for me, like I said, in the Hispanic community, mental health is not talked about. So a lot of people go down that, like, that depressive, like, what is it called? Like, tunnel. And I think for me, I'm just glad that I didn't follow that tunnel. And I was like, you know what? Like, there's just so much more out of life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. And again, I
don't know if that's like based off survival mode or like, yeah, like you said, I don't know what it is, like something in us to want better.
I don't know. I would say, yeah, I feel like I live on survival mode every day. I mean, any day could be your last, so you gotta consciously think about getting to the next day, especially if you are like me and you have things that you want to accomplish and you have you just got big goals and big dreams, because big goals and big dreams come with big work. So what I've learned after my mom passed is, and just because I've been focusing so much on yoga and meditation, is have your moments in the day where you tell yourself to live in the moment. Because if you're not, you know how you were saying how you constantly on survival mode and thinking about this and thinking about this and thinking about this. You can be in survival mode, but you also have to remind yourself to take a breather and just live in that moment. Like that's why it's so important. Thank God we made our decision and came down here, because like this past Sunday we went to what park is that?
Oh,
Starts with a P.
Encanto Park.
No, we didn't go to Encanto Park. We went to yeah, whatever.
Papago Park.
Papago.
Yeah, Papago.
That was lightning. I just seen lightning outside, guys. It hasn't rained here in months, by the way.
No, but I want to answer your question really quick. I think to me, survival mode just means like, I don't know what the definition is, so I guess I need to look it up. But maybe we can start the next episode based off of that. But I think to me, survival mode just means like you didn't allow yourself as a kid to, and maybe a lot of us experience this as people of color, but you didn't allow yourself to more so, like you said, live in the moment, and you were just trying to survive traumatic experiences. But then again, you know, everybody has a different definition, so I don't know.
And a way of dealing with that.
Yeah.
As well. I was just so blessed growing up. I don't know what I did in my past life to deserve the blessings that I receive on a daily basis. But just being back to us being at Papago Park, just being able to, we did the journey right, we did the climb right, but a lot of people don't take their time. We on this mountain, we're super high up, almost 1,000 feet up, and when you think about that, it's like a lot of people don't. What I've noticed is a lot of people don't take their time to actually sit there and enjoy the climb that they just did. Like every time we go hiking, when there's a bunch of people around, especially just coming like October and November, since it's still warm outside, it's gonna be a lot of people hiking outside. And a lot of people, what I notice is they're like rushing up and down the mountain, right? That's how I look at life. If you ever come out here, you go hiking or just see people hiking, that's how I notice how life is. They're constantly running up and down the mountain, but very few actually stop and smell the roses and live in the moment and just relax and see what's going on. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I think that's a perfect example to life. Is like, we even talk about this in our careers, but some days I feel like, especially with entrepreneurship, it's such a race, like you said, that we're always on the go, and we don't get to just enjoy the moment. So I think you explained it really well, is that's always going to be like a mountain, and you're always going to be climbing for a higher high, but then there's always going to be lows, and you always have to just, we've talked about this, just stay zen and just enjoy the moment. But I think we're going to end it there, because we got a good 20 minutes for today's episode. We're going to start off the next episode with a topic on survival, because I know that that's like a huge conversation that we could go into. But we're going to end it there. Let me know if you guys like this video. And we're really preaching our own, we're really following our own advice and just trying to be consistent and showing up and being disciplined. So again, that's what this podcast is about, is just getting 1% better every single day. But if you guys like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. My name is Jasmine.
Peace.
You didn't even say your name.
Catch the beginning of the video. Make
Bye.
sure you like and subscribe.
Bye.
Bye.